Welcome back to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door.
Me, DK.
And me, Than.
Bringing you your weekly update of all things Space Marines and Laser Force.
No double tap this week?
Oh yeah, I guess it's a weekly double tap. I guess.
Well, you better get your double tap now, because that's the only fucking laser tag you're getting for a while.
Oh man, look, the world has come to an end, or is coming to an end. Pick your poison.
But that is not stopping us.
No,
from launching our very successful podcast.
That's
so
right.
You're welcome, everybody.
You're welcome.
Hey,
all five of you.
And let's just say how successfully we're doing social distancing right now while we're recording this podcast.
Get on our level, nerds.
I don't think you could. I mean, it would be difficult to get more socially distanced than the three of us are right now recording this podcast. So yeah, like DK said, get on our level.
So yesterday, there's a band in the States called Dropkick Murphys, big punk band from Boston, and they play an annual St. Patrick's Day show back home in Boston, and it's a big deal. And obviously, weren't allowed to do it for an audience, so they decided to live stream that shit. And that's the first it's the first mosh pit that we've had in our lounge so far. Since we've lived here. Me and my wife just going crazy in the lounge is awesome.
That's awesome. And I guess since this won't be out for a couple of days, because things can change so quickly, let's make it clear for people that we're actually recording this on March 18th in the States and March 19th in New Zealand. Because by the time this posts on Friday, like half the shit that we say may be completely fucking irrelevant, because goddamn,
you may be overrun with zombies. Who knows?
Yeah. YouTube would have shut down by then.
Yeah, this is all like super quick escalation. It's mildly ridiculous, like where this has gotten to literally in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been it's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks since we recorded. Not since we put out the last one, but since we actually recorded it. And oh man, just the escalation has been exponential over the last.
I don't even
this
think
that we're all talking about
was,
for everybody who's living under a rock is the coronavirus outbreak.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wait, there's an outbreak?
DK making the good radio, tie back to make it clear for people what the hell we're talking about, which is usually my job. So good on you, DK. Well done. But yeah, I mean, last time that we recorded, it wasn't even really on our radar as something to be concerned about. I mean, it was something that was like, okay, yeah, there's some things, but it didn't rise to the level of us needing to, discuss anything about it. It was just kind of there and existing.
Yeah. And obviously, just with the social impact that it's had and the impact of people being able to travel means that there are potential repercussions for the upcoming Laser Force Internationals.
Yeah.
Which, we'll lead with, because, that's kind of the most prudent thing to talk about, I think. At least on this podcast.
On this podcast, for sure.
Yeah.
And but one thing with, it looks like it's going to impact, the Nationals in Auckland, which were scheduled for July 20th to 24th of this year, and so by extension, it's also going to hit the Aussie titles, which were going to be held in Perth, essentially the week after Internationals.
Now you say going to, like it's not going to happen. There's at this stage. Okay, I want to make an official announcement as of Thursday, the 19th of March. Auckland Internationals is still scheduled to proceed. However, obviously things change every day, and we are looking to make a decision, final decision in a couple weeks. I think I said 14 days from my post in the tournament's Facebook group. That's when we get, the next kind of major announcement from the New Zealand government. Obviously, there's other things that play into that. So, at this stage, we are assuming that Nationals is continuing. That's our official stance on it anyway.
Yeah. But again, everything's subject to change at a moment's notice. Because,
That's
right. Like we said, when we last recorded, this wasn't even something that was on our radar as things to be concerned about. We were, talking about our normal bullshit that we talk about because what better people to talk about lasers than two people that don't have a sight and one jerk in New Zealand.
That's right.
Yeah. Which, on a side note, has any social distancing stuff affected the operation of Auckland laser tag so far?
So not officially, but we haven't played the last 2 Tuesdays. And I think we were looking at doing some training nights on the upcoming Sundays, which aren't going ahead. So at this stage, we haven't heard anything official from Auckland ownership. The general feel I get from the player base here is that people kind of want to wait and see, and aren't wanting to, share suits, essentially.
Sure.
Yeah, which is, a fair enough thing. We, due to our small population, like our number of cases numerically isn't massive, but just like the rest of the world, like our cases have gone up exponentially in the last week. I think we had we went from 12 to 20 overnight yesterday, I think. I don't know what it's like today, but yeah. So yeah, nothing official, but the general sentiment is yuck.
Yeah, well, and I made this point on the thread that, probably sometime between late April and end of May will be a more kind of realistic thing for us. Certainly, the advice I would give is if you don't have your tickets yet, don't buy them because there's not really any sense. Even if you end up buying them in June, when ordinarily they'd probably be quite expensive, my guess is that airline prices are going to be bargain basement for quite a while.
Yeah.
So no real rush on that, but just in terms of minding the news and stuff like that, things almost certainly are going to get worse before they get better.
Yeah.
And just because we have lots of measures in place now, it doesn't mean that the numbers aren't going to go up pretty significantly. It's in probably 2, 3, 4 weeks that we'll see, okay, did the measures actually have some kind of effect on the overall expansion of new cases?
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of doom and gloom this week regarding whether or not Nationals is going to happen. And, every day seems to get worse, but we'll try to temper that a little bit.
Well, I think one of the other things that people have to remember as well with the number of positive cases going up is more testing kits are getting to places where people to actually get tested, and because of the nature of apparently how contagious this virus is, it's very possible that you're a carrier and don't know it because of how long you don't show symptoms for.
Yeah. So. We have been in somewhat semi-isolation in our household just because I went to a Tool concert a couple weeks ago with a number of guys from Lasers actually, and there was a guy, our 4th case I think in New Zealand. He attended the concert before he knew he was infected, which is dumb because his he was showing some symptoms of being unwell. His missus had come back from overseas and she was unwell. It's just really poor decision making on their part.
Yeah, don't be a dick, dude.
Yeah, stay the fuck home.
the Rudy Gobert of New Zealand. Congratulations.
Ugh. Yeah, exactly right. Then he came in and touched all our microphones. Piece of shit.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I've basically been home with Julie since she got home back because she was over in Europe.
Yeah.
With a school trip. She was chaperoning.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were supposed to go to Germany and Austria and Switzerland. They never got out of Germany.
Yeah.
You know,
They got what, like 3 days of their trip total?
yeah, they basically got 3 days of their trip, and
Ugh.
yeah, she
Such a bummer.
She was supposed to actually be back today. Like
Right.
as we're recording this, it's like 5 p.m. on the 18th my time. I was supposed to be picking her up at 8 o'clock today from this trip, but obviously that didn't happen. She left last Monday, and she was home by Friday at 8 p.m. And I mean, I do have to give the tour company that they were with a lot of credit, because like they got them out before the mandatory testing went in for residents and citizens returning. So they got to Detroit and like kind of got through everything. Apparently, like once the full restrictions went in, you know, there were waits of like 2 and 3 and 4 hours at the airports that they were funneling the people through. And you know, it's like okay, that's cool. So you're putting all these hundreds of people into confined spaces to do the check. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, that's been
Yeah, there's really no good
interesting.
option there, because it's like you don't want to release people without testing them, but at the same point, if you have one person and you clump them together with everybody else who's still healthy, you know, that could also be pretty rough.
Yeah. It's not really ideal, all around, really. So, you know, we've had a lot of questions come through. A bunch of people will be messaging me. They're kind of, just as a on a personal note, if you are just messaging me to give your personal take on what's happening, could you maybe not?
Get the fuck off. Thank you very much.
I had a lot of people like messaging me, and it's already heartbreaking, like, to kind of look at and you know, it's a first world problem, I know this, but it's a thing that we love to play. So the prospect of not getting a nationals this year at all is heartbreaking. But yeah, if you're messaging me with some useful information, awesome. If you're messaging me to tell me that you think that we're still probably not playing, that's not helpful. Prefer you didn't send me those messages.
There's nothing to really go off of at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was raised the idea of, you know, a quote unquote contingency plan.
Yeah.
If
so
the worst happens,
yeah.
Are we just basically going to push it to next year?
So that's sort of the conversation that's being had at the moment. I think that's probably the likely, if scenarios, should Nationals not go ahead, we'll probably look to move Auckland hosting 2021. Which, you know, isn't as cool as 2020, but whatever. I think the other thing that got bandied around was moving it to later in the year. But I think you made a good point on the boards, DK, about why that's probably not a good idea. Was it you that?
I think it was Than. Or
Was it
maybe
Than?
was somebody
It was
else.
me.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We don't
Whatever.
look that
We're the
much
same
alike.
person. Who cares?
You sound
Yeah.
alike.
Okay. I would like to argue the sound alike part, but I
True.
really
DK
can't,
sounds
so.
smarter.
That is
That's because I don't
entirely
stutter
accurate.
as much.
Yeah. Oh, sick.
Also
man.
accurate.
Yeah. but so yeah, what, like, the point you put up about that, Than, was a good one. Yeah, just around if these things are still going on, moving it to later in the year is probably not going to be that much of a difference. At least I think that's what you said.
It was basically there were suggestions made about shifting it to September, or what I'm assuming was mostly a joke, to around Christmas, and the one for September, the challenge that runs into is for Northern Hemisphere players, that's school,
Right.
which makes things more complicated. If you're, I don't know, a teacher,
Yeah.
or if you have kids that are going to school, or things of that nature. Because funnily enough, we not only have a lot of teachers in this community, we also have a lot of people that are old enough to have kids, which is one of those things that's
Suckers.
and we have a lot of people, and we have a lot of people that are young enough to still be in school. So that kind of becomes a very challenging thing to say, hey, let's do a full week-long tournament during that time frame.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot tougher for sure.
Yeah, you arrange like a weekend regional thing. You can play around with some things and make that work. Trying to get a full Nats out. That's going to be challenging. And then Taipan from Brisbane made the I'm pretty sure joking suggestion of moving it to Christmas, and that I just think would get a lot of people murdered.
He may have been joking. Like... I wasn't joking when I said worth it. I will take the risk. I would love a Christmas vacation in Auckland,
especially because it'll be summer. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey! Don't get me wrong. Going to New Zealand for Christmas does not sound like a terrible idea. I just don't want to be playing a tournament if I'm there for Christmas.
That's right. Awards dinner barbecue in the park.
Yeah, but that would actually
then it
work
is okay to have in the park.
Because it's summer.
Look, September for me personally wouldn't work either. It's like the 1 year anniversary of my dad passing away, so we got a bunch of stuff that we had to take care of for that, and headstone unveilings and all that sort of stuff. So I think the likeliest of scenarios as a contingency plan is that we move to next year. I hope that that people who have made plans to travel this year got travel insurance, and
I did. Yes.
Hopefully their travel insurance covers end of the world.
Well, I think even in a lot of cases where the travel insurance may not cover that, the airlines are going to have to do something. To make people whole on this. Even if it, I'm counting on for my flights, since I didn't have insurance necessarily, since I got it off my credit card points. But if I end up getting just refunded the price of a ticket to use for the airline or something like that, I'd be fine with that because I'll just use it for next year. Because our St. George road trip that we had planned for beginning of April, we had to cancel that. And I managed to recoup most of my stuff that I invested on that. So I imagine it probably will be a similar situation.
Yeah. Night Owl from Oakley was saying, because they were going to come over in June, a couple of those boys, and you were saying yesterday that whilst I think the airfares get refunded, stuff from hotels, aren't being made available, non-refundable room rates are just kind of not being refunded. So it's a shame. It's been a costly exercise, I think, for a bunch of people.
Yeah, that's a little messed up. Because I had stuff that was supposedly non-refundable on a car rental in Vegas going to St. George, but because of extraordinary circumstances, I just contacted the company and they said, "Oh yeah, no problem. We'll refund your money."
That's cool.
Nobody saw this coming, so
Yeah.
it wasn't that big a deal there.
I mean, I think even if companies give credits or whatever, that stuff can kind of help. But yeah, to do nothing is a little harsh.
Yeah, because I don't mind getting credit back on stuff because really any plans that I have for this year, I'm just considering them postponed.
Yeah.
They're not canceled. There's still things that I'm going to go do.
Yeah.
We may have to shift them a little bit down the road.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with nationals. Marco, on a happier note, Marco sent through the logo for what would have been this year's Nats.
What hopefully still will be. We'll see.
Oh yeah, it looks really good. Looks really cool. I've asked him to add a couple things, but yeah, overall it looks pretty dope. I was pretty happy with how it came out. What else do we want to talk about?
Who knows? Just the general craziness of everything.
Yeah.
I guess just something out there, sending good vibes to all the Laser Force operators who are out there, because I know pretty much every Laser Force site that I know of in the States has either closed for the foreseeable future or is running on very kind of limited hours and group size restrictions. I saw St. George is basically doing a rate where they're going to rent the facility out to groups of no more than 10 for $100.
Interesting.
Or for like an hour or something like that. So,
Yeah.
And that gives them 15 minutes in between groups to sanitize everything and wipe things down, clean the counters, clean the vests and all that. But I don't know how long that's going to last. I know both Revolutions in Michigan and Fun Warehouse in Syracuse have kind of closed indefinitely because of state orders and stuff like that. So I know it's really tough for small businesses and operators out there. So just want you guys to know I'm thinking about you and hope that everything works out okay for you.
Yeah, so that is something that's been haunting my dreams actually this week is the repercussions of our, Laser Force centers. Because obviously they sell a product that is considered not what's the word I'm looking for? Essential.
Yeah.
Or at least to the majority of the population, non-essential.
Ignorance.
So yeah, hopefully this kind of time isn't too bad for those guys. Yeah, if you can, once they do open and things start kind of returning to normal, make sure you support your local laser force or local laser tag center, or your local businesses in general. Larger kind of chains and supermarkets and stuff probably gonna be okay. It's a small independent.
Supermarkets, anything might be doing better with all the.
Yeah, exactly right. But it's the small independent businesses that are gonna need your help. So, if you can support them, get out and play some laser tag once you're allowed.
Well, other things, if there are other small businesses in your community you want to support, lots of people talked about buying gift cards or gift certificates. Some people are still staying open for takeout or for pickup and those kinds of things. So do what you can. I know it's not easy to get out there, but it is a time where community is going to be important. As much as we're all isolating, we still want to stay connected, even if it is over something silly like a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's also think about the players within our community, and it's like, I know me personally, my wife and I, we're gonna be fine. I've been told work from home until further notice. My wife's a teacher. That's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be some things with that, but overall, we're not at this point looking at a drop in income because of this whole situation. And I know that that is 100% not the case for some of the people that are in our community. And that is kind of one of those things where and not just within our lasers community, but within our wider friend communities as well. I'm sure all of us have friends that don't play lasers that are also just going to potentially just get wrecked with all the closures and everything. So that's definitely something that's been on my mind a bit the last
Same.
last few days, especially as more and more things have been, closed, and like, the pretty much the entire music scene in pretty much any city that you want to mention, but I'm obviously going for the Dallas Fort Worth scene because that's where I am. All the venues are closed until at least April 1st, and there are multiple bands that we've either played with or were associated with on some level that this is how they make their living. They actually make their living playing music, which is fucking fantastic, until they run into something like this where there's literally no gigs. There's so there's been a lot of like, hey, maybe let's broadcast a show on Twitch or on Facebook Live and put our Venmo up on the screen and see if people will throw out tips to us and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of kind of interesting side repercussions that you don't think about in the immediate as being the obvious impacts. But then as you start kind of rolling through CDC is saying no more than 10 people in any one place. Well, that is going to force, restaurants and bars and venues to close. Oh, okay. Well, so now, now movie theaters are closed in a lot of areas. I know Regal, I think, said they were closing everything until further notice, and Alamo Drafthouse, I'm pretty sure if they haven't already done it, they're very close to, and other chains like that. Okay. Well,
meanwhile, Netflix is licking its chops.
Yeah.
Netflix, Disney. I mean, there are definitely people, or definitely companies that are going to be have some positive come out of this as far as usage and customer retention and stuff like that. But the bigger socioeconomic question at that point is, if you've got what do the job losses look like, and what does that look like in an economy that's primarily a service-driven economy?
It's gonna be bad, man. There's gonna be a lot of ripple effects. I think what we were talking about before, with it looking a lot like 2008 back in the States, is probably pretty likely at this point.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's probably going to be a little worse than that.
Yeah, maybe worse, maybe not quite as bad, but something of that order of magnitude.
Yeah.
But on the if we're gonna look at some silver linings across kind of the whole thing, and there are definitely not many, but we can take, okay, the supply chains for now seem to be intact, in as much as like food is actually getting restocked to grocery stores. So there are things like that where, okay, yeah, it sucks. Life is not fantastic by any means right now, but life's not fantastic in a first world problems sort of way. We still have power. We can still go to the grocery store, which still has food in it generally, unless you catch it like before the truck gets there and all that. So yeah, it's not great, but I think there is also some level of perspective of kind of acknowledging that it could be worse. There could be.
We're still in the inconveniences stage right now.
Yeah, we're definitely still there.
And look, it's real early in the piece. Like, this has only been really 2 months, and that's very, very early. So yeah, I guess the overall arc is to make sure you look out for yourselves and your family. Look out for your community if you can.
Look out for your friends.
Look out for your friends. If you're feeling lonesome during any sort of mandatory quarantines, reach out to our community, because for the most part people are decent. For the most part. Yeah, I'm sure people will, like, even if you wanted to, like, I assume that there are a lot of people that play video games in this scene.
No, that's not a thing.
Look,
no,
like, reach out, play games like that. For us, like, in this last couple of weeks of more or less being at home, being able to play video games with people online has been a massive help. So reach out. There's
update your servers, Blizzard. I'm tired of getting kicked off of playing Diablo 3 or StarCraft because your queues are too big.
Sons of bitches. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I think that kind of says it for now. We'll see what happens in the next week and see what our next update is.
Yeah, we'll keep everyone in the loop regarding Nationals. As soon as we have information, we'll pass it on. As soon as we make a decision about whether or not we're going to continue, we'll pass it on. Obviously keep putting your opinions up on the page, because obviously Nationals, even if we're allowed to have it, Nationals can't happen without the community turning up. So but that'll do us for this week. I've been Guy Next Door.
I've been DK.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to wash your hands, folks. We will hopefully see you next week.